Hi there. My name is Mel, and I'm the manager of Springboard Services Community Learning Hub. And today I'm going to be giving you some background information as well as a short demo of our Weed Out the Risk program. This program is designed to help youth make informed decisions about cannabis use and driving while using an engaging and non-judgmental approach. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of our key program elements, show you some sample activities, tell you a little bit about how you can bring this educational program to the youth you work with, and provide some information to follow up and contact us. Weed Out the Risk is hosted on the Community Learning Hub's platform, which is part of the Toronto-based not-for-profit Springboard Services. The Community Learning Hub is a digital education platform that provides skill-building programs for vulnerable populations across Canada, with most of our programming geared towards youth. In our work at the Community Learning Hub, we recognize that many of the young people engaging with our learning content have experienced hardship, trauma, or systemic barriers in their lives. And so all of our learning content is created with an anti-oppressive and trauma-informed lens. We also provide facilitator training and professional development opportunities for facilitators and educators, and give you all the tools you need and support you need for facilitating our workshops. Weed Out the Risk is an educational workshop designed to inform youth and adults about the risks of cannabis-impaired driving. The program started in Toronto in 2014 and has expanded nationwide after cannabis legalization, thanks in huge part to the support from Health Canada and MAD Canada. Since then, we've reached over 200,000 youth across Canada, and our program continues to grow. Evaluations of the program show that 90% of participants report a positive shift in their understanding of the risks of impaired driving and in taking risk-reducing actions after completing the program. Our Weed Out the Risk program is facilitated through two methods. The first is through supporting teachers in confidently delivering the curriculum directly to their students. Our team of facilitators will provide virtual facilitator training sessions where you will build your knowledge around cannabis-impaired driving from a harm reduction lens and learn how to deliver the content in a way that's engaging and youth-centered. The other option that we have available for Weed Out the Risk program delivery is through experiential learning opportunities, where one of our expert facilitators will come to your classroom or community group and facilitate the program with you. This gives you a chance to see the workshop in action and support with one or two low-barrier activities or discussions, while our facilitator demonstrates the delivery of the program in its entirety. Okay, so now that I've told you a bit about how we deliver our program, I'd love to dive into the foundational approach of our program. The Weed Out the Risk program, like I mentioned, is built on a harm reduction framework, meaning it does not focus on abstinence, but instead helps youth assess risks and make safer choices. It includes interactive activities, real-life scenarios, and reflection exercises. In this program, youth participants will examine the risks of driving under the influence of cannabis, explore the effects of cannabis on the brain and body, increase their awareness about the legal, social, and financial risks of cannabis-impaired driving, and develop skills to prevent and respond to cannabis-impaired driving. Now, one important thing to note as well is that once an educator or facilitator is trained by our team, whether virtually or through an experiential learning session in your class, you will have unlimited free access to the Community Learning Hub's platform. This means that you can deliver the program yourself at a later date anytime you'd like, or explore some of the other free programs that we have to offer. So I'm going to jump now to our online digital platform so you can see what the platform looks like, as well as what the Weed Out the Risk module looks like. And this is the first page, our landing page. And as the facilitator, most of the time you would begin the program in a way that suits both you and your participants. So normally what we do is we recommend starting by build a sense of connection and rapport, letting the participants know that this is a non-judgmental space. We're not here to tell anyone that weed is bad or to promote abstinence. Instead, we're really focused on the understanding the effects of cannabis, especially when it comes to safety and also impaired driving. So we normally like to ask some conversation starter, icebreaker questions along the lines of, what do you already know about weed? What have you heard about driving high? What do you think is important about this topic? These kinds of questions really help create a personal connection to the topic and give participants the chance to share what they know. We recommend just in general approaching the content with curiosity and validation. So for example, if a participant shares something along the lines of, well, no one has ever died from overdosing on weed, you can validate and say, you're absolutely right. It's rare for someone to overdose on cannabis in the way we think of other substances like alcohol. However, at the same time, the way someone can use weed might lead to dangerous situations like driving high. So just moving into the module, I'm going to highlight a couple of activities to give you an idea of what the content looks like. So we're going to go ahead and jump to page 7. The burrito run and quiz. And just as a note, it's up to you ahead of time which pages you would or would not like to share with your participants. It depends on how much time you have and what you think your participants will respond to. This is one video that we really like demonstrating. It's called the Eggs on Weed video. And we recommend playing the video and then facilitating a discussion around the different takeaways that youth are reflecting on from this video. This quiz that you can click on here, Test Your Knowledge, is a great group activity to follow up. The workshop makes it really easy for you to facilitate these activities depending on what type of learning style your participants have. You might have them raise their hands or shout out the answer. But as you can see here, it will pose a question in the quiz, and then based on the responses of the students, you can select true or false, and it will tell you the answer, as well as some content information. So the next slide that I'll quickly show you is why does cannabis make you high? And that's slide number 13. So this is a really great slide because it can help youth make sense of what's actually happening in their bodies when they use different types of weed. When youth understand how the THC in weed works and why it makes us feel high, it sets the foundation for deeper conversations about decision making and safety while impaired. Everything you need to guide this discussion is right in your facilitator guide as well. This is a supplemental resource that we provide to all of our facilitators, and it walks you through how THC interacts with the body, including a simple breakdown of the science behind the high. So as you can see here, you can click on the different methods, and it will give a video as well as a brief description. Okay, next we're going to quickly hop to slide number 14, the effects of cannabis. And this is a really great visual activity to get your students talking and thinking together about the different ways that cannabis can affect the brain and body. And also a good way to test the knowledge of what your participants might already have around cannabis and reflect on how different people can actually have different experiences when it comes with weed, even if they're using the same amount or strain. So for example, someone might say weed helps them feel calm or slows their heart rate down, but for someone else, the same weed might make them feel anxious or cause their heart to race. And that's because THC affects everyone differently. So you can see here, you click on the different parts of the body, and it will go through some of the specific symptoms. In the next few pages, the module discusses some fact-based information on the legal and social risks of driving under the influence. And of course, we want to approach this conversation without any shame or judgment. While sharing the information, it's also a chance for you to think critically about how weed affects the brain and body and how that can impact things like coordination, reaction time, and decision making while driving. This is also a good opportunity to ask some questions along the lines of, why do you think it happens that someone drives high? Or have you ever heard someone say that they drive better while they're high? What do you think about that? And maybe even what might someone, or why might someone underestimate how high they are? You can also invite youth here to share some stories that they've heard. They can be real life stories that might lead to some discussions with the group as well. So another really great activity that we like to do with the groups, that all of the tools are here in the module to support, is an interactive practice session around saying no. And this is a really great game for groups who like some of the more interactive activities in a workshop. It can really bring the energy up in the room. So for this, you would invite participants to break into small groups, and each group would be given a scenario and work together to role play how they would handle it. They can act it out for the rest of the class, even if they're comfortable or not, but that's where things can get really creative and entertaining. And after you go through the different actions with the young people in the classroom, you can go through some of the strategies together around ways to address saying no in different contexts. So for example, looking at this slide, peer pressure to drive when using. Some strategies for responding are really clarifying your standards. So saying things like, I care about you and I want us to get home safe, so let's try and figure something else out. Or just saying, I never drive high as a strategy. So great role-playing activity and also debrief for some specific examples. The final big activity that we have, which is usually a huge hit, is called a pot quiz. And this is a really neat Jeopardy style game at the end. Oftentimes we might even have you support us in facilitating this activity as a way to get some peer involvement. But essentially the different groups can click on a question number and they'll confer together to answer a question. If they get the answer right, they'll score points. If not, it will go to the other team. So that's a brief overview of the program. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we are happy to provide a virtual training session of the program for teachers and community educators on delivering the program, or support you with in-person direct delivery to your classroom or to your youth group. We're excited to partner with you, and we hope you'll be in touch with us soon.